My name is Angel, and welcome to the Cluster Chronicles. This is a monthly patient story where members of the cluster headache community share what living with this condition is really like, the pain, the impact on family and relationships, the mental toll, and the strength it takes to keep going. Today I'm joined by Becky, and before we begin, please note that this conversation may include discussions about medication, mental health, and suicide. Please watch with care. All right, Becky.
Angel, how are you?
Good.
Good.
So, if you want to start, we can start with maybe we could talk about your first cluster attack. Did
Yeah.
it start right away or did it kind of build up? Because some people have a build up to it.
So actually, it was in September of 2010. It was about 4 weeks after I had my oldest. I was no longer able to breastfeed. So I was like, you know what? I haven't had a beer in like 11 months. I think I'm going to go grab a beer. So I went up to the local gas station. I grabbed a tall boy Miller Lite. I got back home, sat at the island at my mom's house, and I I maybe had an eighth gone, and this excruciating pain just came out of the clear blue sky. Like, I mean, it just out of nowhere. And I mean, it was just full throttle. There was no warning. I mean, it kind of felt weird, but then the moment that I even had the thought, it was just there. And the entire left side of my face, it was just drooping, and just tears were streaming from my eye. Even the left side of my nostril, like, I mean, it was just nothing but drainage, and I was in the fetal position on the sofa, and, I mean, I was just rocking back and forth and just squeezing onto my head for dear life because I thought, "My gosh, like, it just might explode. I don't know what's going on." But my body had taken rather quickly to the epidural when I
Hmm.
with my oldest, and, they had to leave the port in my spine because they were concerned that I could have they call them spinal migraines or spinal headaches. And it's basically when a portion of your spinal cord gets punctured, and it can cause very excruciating headaches. And I'm just like, okay, well, maybe that's what that was. And it lasted for probably about 45 minutes to an hour, but it left just as quick as it came on. It was just gone. Like nothing had ever happened. And I thought I was losing it. But, I just chalked it up to it possibly being a spinal migraine. I had them, well, you figure from September, I don't know, until about March, April, which is right around the time that I had gotten pregnant with my second. And I started feeling better. Never had one throughout my entire pregnancy with Grayson or Palin. And I had shown up to the hospital to deliver her at 100 centimeters or 100 centimeters. I mean, how long has this been going on? And I'm just like, I don't know, a couple hours. They're like, no, like, gonna fall out. um, so I didn't even have time to get an epidural for this one. Well, about 4 weeks later, after I had delivered her, I ended up with another one, another cluster headache attack, and I just thought, okay, these are not spinal migraines. So when I went to the follow-up with my OB, I was telling him about what was happening to me, and he referred me to a specialist, a neurologist, and I called them numerous times, and I never got a call back. If they did not call me back, I was going to unalive myself because I was just so desperate. And clearly that's how I was feeling because that pain, it was just so excruciating to the point where, I would rather birth children than have what was happening in my head. It just, it,
That really just shows how intense this condition is. I was going to ask you comparison because you knew what cluster headaches felt like. You'd maybe, I know you didn't know what they were, but you knew what they felt like after birth. And but could you compare them, like the pain?
No. To me, having my children, that was a walk in the park. That was a breeze. This thing, this phenomenon, I guess, it just I can't describe that. It's just so unique in its own way. Unique,
Hmm.
you would think, to me, I don't even like using the word unique because it almost sounds like,
That sounds cool. I know
yeah,
what you mean. Yeah.
but just because it's its own sort of pain, I think is what makes it unique. I mean, it definitely doesn't
Hmm.
make it cool. It doesn't make it great, you know. It just
It's pain, but it's very different from pain.
yeah. And it's just so distinguished, and especially, like, what happens to your face and, that's why we have the KIP scale for, like, for the pain, the kind of pain that we're in. I can't help but giggle when I go to the doctor's office and they're like, "Oh, if you take a look at this chart, on a scale from 1 to 10," and they've got all these faces, and I'm just like,
It's not there.
"Yeah." Um, and something interesting that I had found out a few years ago, so I have a chip and a hairline fracture in my C3. And it had to have happened within like 7 years because of my updated x rays. And the chiropractor, she had asked me, "Were you in an accident?" Well, here are your x rays from 2 years ago. Then here are your updated x rays. You have a chip and a hairline fracture in your C3. Are you sure that maybe you didn't take like a really hard fall or something like that? And I was like, "No, sis, like, I don't know any people in the cluster headache community can agree that our pain tolerance in your headspace, and that kind of pain, like nothing else can touch that. So everything else is just so easy. It's strange. Yeah. I mean, heck, you can't even sleep sometimes, up every hour and a half or in the middle of the night. So before I was able to become manage I mean, it would start at just 8 AM, 10:30 AM, 1 PM, 4 PM, and 7 PM, and it just varied on on the dot to those hours, and it's a little bittersweet, I guess, because you know when it's gonna happen, you can kind of prepare yourself for it, and then there
Hmm.
are other times where it's just like, well, wasn't anticipating that one, because we're off by about 45 minutes, or it's
You thought
just
you might have a break, or
yeah,
you thought you had time.
yeah, the mental and emotional strain that this does to people is it's sad because some days you'll just sit around and you're just waiting. Um, and then with the kids, like that's tough.
Going back to giving birth to two babies within 2 years and also having cluster headaches, it must have been incredibly hard as a parent. And I think a lot of moms go through that, and a lot of people don't understand the actual pain that we're in when you're in, and also
Yeah,
having to raise babies.
yeah, and you're just so alone. You're so alone, especially when you aren't diagnosed. I mean, you figure it took me about 4 or 5 years to get officially diagnosed and, get oxygen, and it was rough, and nursing my second for the longest time. I was nursing her for about 5 months, so here I am, like, I'm getting the crap knocked out of me, And, I'm still nursing all at the same time and still doing the mom things and chasing after a toddler and still changing diapers and still just it's a lonely road to go down.
Did people ever make you feel like you were being overdramatic when it came to your headaches? Like they weren't
Yes,
real and they were kind of in your head?
yes, that definitely did happen. So I was caught, I guess that you could say. I was, like, digging my eye socket into the corner of my bed frame just because I was trying to equalize that pain, and I know that it wasn't happening, but that's what it felt like. It's so bizarre on how that feels, and you think it's making it feel better, but, um
It's distracting you from, it's like bringing the pain in a
Yes.
different area for just a minute or a
Yes.
second.
Yeah. It's like you're literally tricking yourself into believing that, that pain isn't there. It's a lot of like mind effery when it comes to that kind of pain, sadly. Or like, I don't think that one's coming on. I don't think that one's coming on. And then you're like, you know, it's it's hard. It's hard. And I feel really, really, really bad for any other moms that are out there that might be doing this alone too, you know, and not knowing what's wrong with them. And it is lonely. It's lonely, but there are tons of different options on how to get help, and hopefully with doing what we do, it just gets out there a little bit more, and that way that other moms don't have to feel like I did.
You don't have to feel alone. A lot of doctors gaslight you,
Yeah.
partners gaslight you, especially being a woman. It's just migraines or it's just hormones or it's your anxiety.
Yes, that is sorry.
No
That
worries.
is quite literally how it was for me for a while. My OB, after having Palin, he was like, "Oh yeah, like I've heard of things like this," but like he got me a referral, but like nobody would call me back. Nobody would help me, and it just so happened that I had come across a friend of mine, and I was having an attack at work, and he was like, "I think that we know somebody that has something similar to what you have. Let me reach out and see if, he wouldn't be able to talk to you." And sure enough, like everything that I was saying was like spot on. And I went to my PCP, which I still have. She's great. She listened to me, whereas I wasn't listened to for a lot of years. And she was like, "I don't know what to do for this, though." She's like, "We can put you on Verapamil." And I was like, "I was already told not to go down that road, especially if I don't have a blood pressure issue. But this is the first line of defense, and it's oxygen." And I find it strange too, but I mean, if it doesn't work, then chances are I don't have cluster headaches and it's, it's something else. But I'll never forget that. Oh man, I will never forget that delivery. It was on my birthday. They brought my oxygen to my house on my birthday. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, this is the stuff I can just pause and skip out of.
Okay, sorry. Come
No,
on.
don't be. I'm trying not to make faces. My dog farted somewhere,
Well, and he was killing me because he was sitting there and he was whining.
staring at you.
Yeah, and he's just whining at me, and I'm like, "Okay, okay, dude, it's fine." But sure enough, so that delivery, I'd gotten it like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, something along those lines. And, sure enough, my typical time, around 7 PM, I had tried the oxygen, and sure enough, it worked. And I thought, "My gosh." And, like, I didn't know whether to, like, laugh or to cry or celebrate, or I didn't know what to do. I just thought, all of these years, I have been roughing it with nothing, and it was literally this simple. It was this simple, like, to abort an entire attack that has lasted for up to, 2.5 hours for me. Like, shortest one, 20 minutes. Longest one, 3.5 hours. Imagine that with 2 toddlers, you know? And especially when their dad was an over-the-road truck driver, like, it was all me. And having to do that by yourself, it just I don't know how I did it, and to, think back, like, how did I do that? And then to have something so simple and so basic, and to help abort an attack that could potentially, be 2, 3 hours long, and you can get it done and over with in, like, 5, 10 minutes. It's a game changer, and it's a life changer, and I really it makes me sad to hear that there are so many other people that have gone such a long time on getting diagnosed. Gosh, and those mamas out there, not saying that, it's not all bad for everybody, 'cause it's bad, it doesn't even matter, but when you're a mom and you're alone, it's
Yeah,
rough.
it goes the other way around too. Like when the mothers have a husband that have cluster headaches, they say, "Well, I've given birth, so I know pain," and then they get that thrown in their face, so they just keep their cluster headaches to themselves.
Yeah, yeah, but from a woman's perspective, Imma tell you,
That's why it's
there
great to
there
have your perspective.
there is no other pain like that. I mean, when I say that I would birth a billion more children without drugs, that is exactly what I mean. Like, I cannot skip a beat when I say that. I am dead to rights on that one.
And
It's
that's baffling to a lot of people because they're taught their whole life that that's the most painful thing you could ever experience. And then they're told that you go through something more painful every day, sometimes multiple times a day, and you're taking care of kids. Like they look at you and like you would have to be a superhero to do that. There's no way or there's no like they can't fathom something like that.
yeah, and it is. It's difficult for people to wrap their head around that it could be that bad. I think that the way that I had described it to my husband, Matt, which you got to meet in Dallas, I was like, think about, an abscessed tooth, but like magnify it. And he was like, yeah, no, I don't like that. I was like,
Yeah.
that might be the closest thing that could be kind of comparable because it's dealing with a nerve essentially. But, like, even then, I there aren't very many things that you can compare it to. It's just really a class of its own.
We've met men, the same guys that have had kidney stones, past kidney stones, and would rather do that than get a head cluster headache. And there's probably so many more things I could name off.
But yeah, to, the pregnancy thing too. So other people had mentioned, mainly, like, my mom, she had mentioned about, well, maybe they're just, like, hormonal migraines. I was like, "This does not," and this was obviously before I was diagnosed. I was like, "But it wouldn't make any sense, like, they're so, like, on a time clock, and whose face does this?"
It looks like you're having a stroke, and it's
Yes!
literally like timely. It's creepy how timely it can be.
Yeah. I was like, "That doesn't make any sense to me either," and I just so happened to, come across a friend that I hadn't seen in years, and he was like, I think I wanna send you off to this guy that might know a little bit about this," and I was like, "Alright, well, I guess we'll see," and then I met the Cluster Busters group, and, at that point, I was 3 kids in and extra busy, working and, hardly keeping my head above water because I was getting my butt handed to me on the daily. during that time, oh, I thought so we've talked about, like, association, like, we think that we have a certain trigger, but really in what we're doing is we're just, like, associating with it, but to this day, you figure my youngest is 12, going to be 13, so probably for about 12 years, I have yet to eat white chocolate because it was Christmas time, and I had one of those, white chocolate and peppermint Hershey Kisses,
Yep.
and I had one of the worst ones of my life, like, I was bouncing my head off the hardwood floor. Bad. And I still don't eat white chocolate. I said, "Uh-uh, no way." Like, I will avoid all of the things that I think could possibly be associated with bringing on that pain.
People think that a trigger is right away. It can be a buildup to when your attack comes that night. You can have a really bad attack that night and not realize that's at least, like you said, our association.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so crazy how the brain is so rewired from having this condition, and it's sad. But, like, the positive note on all of this is just we got to meet, some pretty cool people. We get to meet really cool people, having this, and, we get to educate each other, and we get to spread the awareness and help other people just in general, when it comes to this, whether it's mentally, emotionally, um, just trying to find different techniques, like the breathing techniques. I mean, I didn't have the best breathing technique when it came to like oxygen and stuff. And then finally I was watching some videos and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay. All right." So I started incorporating all of those things and I was able to abort a lot quicker. But I mean, if it wasn't for cluster busters and being able to find an actual group that experiences this, I'd still be dead in the water, you know? Like, I'd be running in place. I mean, if I'd even be here.
Like you said, it doesn't feel good to be alone.
Right. Totally not.
I feel like a lot of people in this community understand that, and that's why it works so well together.
In the most odd ways, it's such a sad thing to have, but, I mean, it's our thing, you know?
Hmm.
Just
Yeah, we have to rep ourselves and get people to educate everybody. We have to try and get ourselves seen because nobody is really studying it. The
yeah,
people that are studying it are patients
yeah.
mostly.
I mean, a whole paragraph in, a medical book, like, that obviously will never do.
Hmm.
It's so much more complex than, a paragraph. I mean,
I've never met a cluster headache with the same pattern, triggers, the ways they can abort, the ways they abort. Like nothing is ever the same. It's the most unique to each person, which is probably why they don't study it
well,
because it's
yeah, it's
confusing.
complicated. And it's just so subjective, what treatment might work for one person might not work for the next. Usually, like monsters, like I can down a monster and in like 10, 15 minutes, like that sucker's out of here.
Yep. And you feel like a whole new person again.
Yeah, yeah. The only time I can admittedly chug a monster and not get the jitters is when I'm aborting a
Hmm.
cluster headache. Like, I can have that sucker down in 2 minutes flat. I'm back to doing normal, but most people would be, like,
Yep. If I get
seizing.
scared, I'll drink two and I still won't exactly. I won't jitter or nothing. It's just like thank God.
Yeah,
Just so relaxed. You don't
yeah.
have to be in fight.
That when I wasn't managed, I was drinking a lot of those, and then I was starting to get clusters a lot more frequently because I was in such a bad spot,
Hmm.
and I was thinking, "Well, man, like, maybe maybe it's starting to, like
Give you rebounds? Yeah.
yes, yes, the rebounds. So, then I had to wean myself off of those to try to see if maybe that was happening, and sure enough, like, that's what was happening to me.
If I abort with one, I have to kind of like wait for the day and not abort again that day with Red Bull, or else the same thing happens.
Yeah.
And some people have mentioned to me, and it happens to me too sometimes, where the ones that I'm aborting next, if I've aborted two clusters, and then the third one is like you can feel it's way more intense, and like you're like, oh,
Yes.
frig me, here we go.
Yep, but those are just some of the things that people wouldn't think about or don't know or don't understand. It's quite the condition to have.
Hmm.
It really is.
A lot of people walk up to you and say that they have them too, or their migraines are very similar, and you don't want to diminish anybody else's pain, but it's unmistakably different.
Yes, yeah. And, like, I'm a huge advocate, for, anybody with any kind of head pain. I used to have migraines as a teenager and a very, very young adult, but the moment that I had had my son, it was no more migraines and just full steam ahead with cluster headaches.
Hmm. So a lot of people think they have like a traumatic moment. Do you think that was the traumatic moment for your body was giving birth? Or do you think there's no correlation for you that way?
It very well could be. So, we have another friend in the Cluster Busters group that, she had talked about the lymphatic system and how sometimes, like, your body just is bound up with trauma, and you can actually drain the lymphatic system and kind of nurse your body and your brain back to normal. It is something that I haven't ventured down yet. The things that I'm doing currently, they are working, and I'm not trying to.
Just leave it as it is.
Yeah, I'm just
I
gonna
get
ride
that.
this out until I can't
Hmm.
anymore. I the moment that it stops working, that's the avenue that's next anyways. I'd have to do some traveling. So I know that
Hmm.
we have it's called, strain counter strain. We have a physician up here in Northwest Ohio, but to fix what we have, I would end up having to go down to West Virginia, I believe, to finish out those treatments, but I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna ride this one out until
Hmm.
it no longer works because, I was doing some other things, for preventative, and that did work for a while, and then I became resistant to that.
Which happens to a lot of us. Like it
Yeah,
works for so long and then
and then it just doesn't,
yeah,
and
and then
then
you're
you have
freaking out
to.
and panicking because you got to figure something out
Yeah,
while you're
because
in the
then
middle of a cycle.
yeah, and you've gotta kinda start all over, you gotta start from square one,
Hmm.
and that is so aggravating because it just seems like when it gets so out of control, you're fighting for your life, literally, to
And you've
get
been doing it for
things.
so long, like why does it have to be so difficult for us?
Yeah. Yep,
Without trying to sound like a victim, but it's hard.
it is hard. It is difficult. I mean, it's just different. It's a different sort of difficult as opposed to just, like, everyday life challenges.
Hmm.
It's such a mental and emotional and a physical challenge some days, and to have all of them hit all at once over some pain inside of your brain, it just it's tiring and it's exhausting.
I was gonna
So,
ask, you said it was for almost 5 years before you were able to see an actual, or before you got an actual diagnosis. When it came to like on a daily basis coping, because you were alone, your husband was in traveling, like how did that, I can't imagine what a day looked like for you.
some days just weren't very good days. Thankfully, my kids were really good kids. And I also, like, baby-proofed the house to the nines because I knew that it was a possibility that I could be a little not okay.
A little not okay is an understatement.
Yeah. But
Having the playpen ready and just tossing them in there with the ball so you
yes.
can deal with the oxygen. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even have oxygen at that point.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I had nothing. I had nothing.
So you had to ride those out with no
Yeah.
abortives.
And I fetal position, the corner of my bed frame, though that was my thing,
Mhm.
you know. Um, did a lot of squeezing, just
Mhm.
squeezing of my head and just like rocking back and forth. I was one of those that I absolutely would not sit still. There are some that I'm finding, that they can sit still. I mean, I can't. I can't not. It's impossible. For me, it
Mhm.
is impossible for me to just sit there and deal with that and not move. I mean, a pain that is so excruciating that it can wake you up out of a dead sleep.
Mhm.
Um,
Can't knock yourself out through the pain either.
right, yeah,
People have tried. You're just
yeah.
awake for it.
It's the wildest thing, but I mean, as far as, yeah, like, with the kids, I mean, I don't know, I just did it. I don't even know how. I It wasn't a thought process for me. It was just a, "Okay, well, here it is again, still don't know what it is," and
Yeah, they were a
I'm
part of the
just
journey with you.
yeah. Yeah, and they know nothing different. It would be really sad at their ages now, 12, 14, and 15, for them to see me and at that capacity at this age. But
Yeah.
because this has just been a part of their lives and they don't know any different, I would say that it was better that way for them. And they have grown into very, very compassionate children when it comes to pain. Heck, I've heard my kids talk about, my head condition to like some of their friends, and they're just like, "Hey, mom's having a bad day," and just they're they're amazing when it comes to that stuff. And I was telling them about me talking to you today, and they're just like, "No way, like that's so awesome." So they were super stoked about it. I do get
They make you feel
concerned.
safe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're so cool about it. They've always been so patient with me. That's the one thing that I can say that is a positive that's come out of this is that my kids have just been it's taught them how to be compassionate and understanding when it comes to pain threshold. So,
Then even something that they don't understand,
yeah,
they're probably more open to understanding, listening, and being receptive towards stuff that people are telling them.
yeah. I mean, heck, even now, if I start to, you know the drill, right? I mean, you'll be shadowing and your entire
Mhm.
freaking eye is, going wonky and it's all drooping. And they'll be like, "You got something going on over there? You got to go and, visit the tank?" I was like, "I think
They
I'm all
catch it
right."
almost before you do.
Yeah. Yeah, they
That's
definitely,
awesome.
they're so observant when it comes to that. Like, are you thinking, you got to go?
I don't think we notice as much, but cognitively, like the way we function, the way we talk, everything changes before an attack and when we're getting close to one, and we think we're just acting normal, but
Yeah.
everything just slows down a little bit. And you're trying to talk to people, and they're like, "Are you good?" And you're like, "Nope, I'll be back."
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me like 5, 10 minutes. Be right back.
Now that you say that, no.
Yeah.
Trying to gaslight yourself into continue a conversation. What are you doing? I hate that. I've done that. I still do that to myself where I'm like, you know what? No. And then my fiance's like, go deal with it. I'm like, yeah, I've never been able to avoid it, so I don't know why I think I can this time.
My gosh, my husband and I, we do the same exact thing. He's like, "I just don't understand why you do this to yourself." I'm just like, "Would you quit? Like, it's a
I
thing,
know, me too.
okay?"
Ask everybody.
Yeah,
It's
like, I'm not the
commonality.
only one. Like, I'm sleep avoidant too, like if I've had a really bad day, chances are I'm going to have a really bad night. So you know what? I
Mm-hmm.
may as well just go ahead and stay up for it anyways.
Yeah, at least I can abort them quicker.
Yeah, like I don't want to be woken up with one.
Mm-hmm.
Just take
It's
care of it, you
detrimental.
know?
Yeah, you get comfy in your bed and you're all under your blankets and you're ready to sleep and you close your eyes and all of a sudden you open your eyes and you're in excruciating pain.
Yeah.
It's worse than just staying awake and getting it. It
Yes.
definitely, I agree with that.
Yeah, and I don't think that very many people can relate to something like that because who doesn't
Mm-hmm.
like sleep? I mean, everybody likes sleep, but then to wake up to that once, twice, three times in the middle of the night, and here you were literally like on your oxygen tank for half the night. Like, what the heck was the point? What was the
And
point?
this goes on for months. Like
Yeah.
people, like just to put in, this doesn't go on for 1 or 2 days in a week. This goes on every day for months. So, who are you outside of cluster headaches?
Who am I outside cluster headaches? Well, so I'm a mom. I'm a restaurant business owner. They keep me busy. I'm a wife. I'm a sister.
A dog mom?
Yes, I'm a dog mama and a cat mama, I guess. Yeah, now a cat mom. So,
Did they bring home a cat?
yeah, that kind of happened. I've been so against cats. I love like playing with them and I love, petting them, but I want them not in my home. I don't want one of my
Mm-hmm.
own. Then I got, and then I got suckered in.
I think most parents do eventually.
Yeah, I got suckered in, and now I love the little turd. He and he's funny. He gets the zoomies, and he's just funny. Then Sam, my other dog, or my dog, he hey, just a minute. Yeah, he's going deaf. He's getting older now, but I love you. And then Tabby, I don't know, she's just our little princess.
Is that a puppy? Like another dog?
She thinks she's a puppy. No, she's just the younger one of the dog.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the younger one of the dogs. And she thinks that she's the
She's a
princess.
princess.
Or- Yeah. Yes. But yeah, I mean, most of my life is just around, my family and my kids, my husband and work.
Mm-hmm.
Like that definitely takes up a big portion of my time, especially, running an entire, you know,
I was gonna say it's inspiring knowing that you deal with this condition and you were able to manage doing all those things.
yeah. I think that it kind of goes hand in hand. Like, if I keep running, I feel like I'm just avoiding what this could be doing over here, and
Mm-hmm.
if I just like keep my blood pressure high, I can just avoid it.
Yep.
I'm not
That's
always
not
successful.
it's not crazy. They used to call it the business headache
Yeah.
because like they caught it through a lot of men that worked business like 9 to 5s Monday to Friday and then they have it on the weekend. So that's why
Yeah.
they call it business headache and then women were just ignored because the times
Yeah.
are different now though.
Yes,
Thank gosh.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of us keep going. Like I remember when I first got them too, it was go, 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 because I knew I could avoid it. Hopefully avoid it.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes you're successful, sometimes you're not, and
And roll with the punches.
you just hope and pray. You just hope and pray that it doesn't happen when you're at work and you're literally surrounded by the community that you grew up in and you just being exposed,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Vulnerable. Yeah.
very vulnerable. So vulnerable and it's a very uncomfortable spot to be if you don't have your things,
Mm-hmm.
ready to go, like your monsters or, your travel O2 tanks or, whatever the case may be, that way that you can
Toolbox.
avoid that exposure. So, but yeah, that's what I do.
Something I like to ask everyone that comes on. What would you say to somebody that's in their first cycle or that's just new to this, just going through this? having a hard time because we both know, like you said, how lonely it gets.
Hang on, and pain ends. It is temporary. It's hard, it's lonely, and you probably just don't even have the answers right now, and you don't have, the immediate relief that you want, and this condition is such a learning and a growing process, but, like, that pain, it will subside. It will subside. This knowledge does not happen overnight.
No, it takes a while and a lot of practice with abortives and the way you treat yourself through it.
Yeah.
Lots of practice.
Yeah, the growing pains aren't just physical.
Mm-mm.
When it comes to this condition, it's very mental and emotionally painful too. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Angel, and, hey, you gonna be in Chicago?
Yes, ma'am. Of
Yeah! That's
course.
gonna be great. I love it.
We're going down the week early, a bunch of us, just to kind of hang out. And you guys want to head down earlier?
And, hey, and any of the newbies, like, the people that are just, like, starting to educate themselves on this, like, we get together for conference, you know, once a year. Like, that is the best way to get your knowledge on this condition. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it is life-changing. It is so life-changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't be afraid to go on the forum or anything and say that you're going to the conference and you're alone, because somebody will all be there to
Yeah.
greet you.
Yes, you know it. You know it.
All right. Have a good day, Becky.
Thanks, you too, Angel.